Hi everybody, welcome back to Daily Endeavours for Saturday the 4th of October. We're back again. This set's pretty good. Timecodes will be in the description if you want to jump ahead. You can also jump ahead to the very end where I'm going to go through the Golden Vendor because it's the weekend now. Because Vengeance was up last weekend, we've got 2 lots this week. Now I'm going to be real with you, I don't think there's much there to actually look at. Baron Zaldris is one of them, and that's pretty good, but yeah, everything else kind of wouldn't bother. But yeah, everything's there if you want to go through that. I've gone through all the items, what they're used for, what they do, that sort of thing. Alright, so this set here, I would go Deconstruct, Insects, and Conservatory Furnishings, or Dig Up a Chest, Conservatory Furnishings, Deconstruct. Basically, anything that isn't defeating a patrolling horror. Now, this isn't an awful option, okay? I'm not having a go about this one. I used to, but in reality, it's not that bad. The only problem is, compared to these options here, these ones are so much easier, and this one here is heavily impacted by players. As soon as you get to Imperial City, it's a PvP zone, so other players from other factions, if they see you, they can attack you, and chances are they will. There are some fucking brutal players in this place who can kill you before you can even fucking react to it. It's crazy. Also, the patrolling horrors themselves, they're quite tough. They're basically world bosses that wander around, and while if you deal a little bit of damage to them and then they die, even if you're like dead and near, as long as you're nearby, I guess, if they die, it counts for you. But you're relying on other players to kill the boss while you're around it, and that's not always something you can rely on because yeah, players unpredictable. They could run off and leave the boss, and you could have to respawn and waste even more time. Also, yeah, like you might be waiting for the boss to respawn because there's only a set amount of patrolling horrors, and if they're dead, you have to wait 5 minutes for them to respawn. And let me tell you now, in like most cases, you're going to be able to do all the other options within 5 minutes. So just my advice, don't even bother. Just maybe if the other options were shit, I would consider this, but today the other options are really good and most importantly reliable. So yeah, my advice, skip this one. Alright, let's get to it. Firstly, we'll go through insects or arachnids. Now, the reason I say do these two, one of these first, is because once you've done this one, you can travel to your house where your conservatory furnishing is and do that, and then from your house you can travel to Imperial City and do this one. I know it sounds weird. Why are we going to Imperial City to do this one and not this one? Let me tell you now, you can do this in 30 seconds in Imperial City, no joke. Because there's just like wood items on weapon racks that aren't stolen, so you don't have to, because like you can just do this. Fuck it, I'll explain that one when I get to it, but yeah, that's the order I would recommend you do it. Okay, insects first up. So this is the town of Steenie, just southwest of Volkgard, where you start. Davon's Watch. So over here, this Wayshine, you've got this access to this by default. So my advice: come down here, check Steenie over here. You've got Shulks here, and you've also got Karma in the distance. So killing these Shulks, these count as insects or arachnids. They're also quite weak, so you can kill them quite quick. They are an overland option though, which means other people will come here and do the same thing, but there are a lot of Shulks in this area here that you can make use of. So yeah, just come over here, get this Wayshrine, and then you've got easy access to this place. And yeah, Steenie is really good. So all through here, there are just fucking insects all over the place. Another good option in the zone of Bleakrock Isle is Hunter's Camp. This has frostbite spiders, which are also quite weak and count as insects. So this is on the northwestern edge of Bleakrock Isle. If you haven't got this zone yet, you can come to Stonefalls as well, Davon's Watch. Instead of going southwest, go northeast up here, and the boatswain over here, Lysel, will take you to Bleakrock Isle. From here, it's just a little bit of a trek north from where you start in the docks here, and Hunter's Camp is up here. Get this Wayshrine for easy access. The same thing basically for Betneek over here, except the boatswain is in Glenumbra, in Daggerfall here, where you'll be going to get the furnishing and the free house for the conservatory furnishing. So Gilzir up here, he takes you to Slosvikar. This guy also takes you to Betneek. So in Betneek, you're looking for basically the area between Grimfield and Moristelli. There's some spiders over here. Pretty sure there's also some spiders over this side too. I think wasps also count in those areas, which are you can find some of those in Betneek as well. So as far as instance locations go, Spindle Clutch 1 is great, because as soon as you walk in, you've got a group of over 5 insects right here to use. Just arachnophobia warning, as you probably have guessed by now. This is found in the northeastern side of Glenumbra. Getting here for the first time, you want to use the Coven Cottage, the Exercise Coven Cottage, is that right? It's called, yeah, here we go. Exercise Coven Cottage near Hagfen in Glenumbra. So it's basically this one here, like this area here. Just up north a little bit, and then you've got Spindle Clutch 1. Now, the reason I suggest this over other stuff is because with anything instance related, it's the opposite of things that you deal with like in Imperial City. So you can't actually get other players coming in here if you're not in a group. So everything in here, it's spawned, ready to go. You can just kill them, leave as soon as you're ready. And also, if you travel in via a way shrine, when you go to the exit, it'll take you straight back to the way shrine that you came in from. So it's also very convenient. You can also do the same thing with Darkshade Caverns 1 and 2. Very early on, you'll find a bunch of Quama, and the Quama count as insects or arachnids as well. Just be aware, Darkshade Caverns 2, while it is quicker to get your find some Quama, they are quite tough, quite difficult to deal with on your own. Just keep that in mind. I'll just check. Do wasps count as well? Okay, they do. That's good. Alright, so while we're on the subject of Vetnik over here, I'll talk about the treasure map chest. Firstly, how do you get treasure maps in this game? They show up in Miscellaneous. You can get them a couple ways. They sometimes occasionally drop from dead enemies that you've killed. You can get them from chests. Especially, like, I find if you do dolmens, you'll get a lot. Or a few at least. Thieves' Throws are a great way. As well as, I think sometimes you can get them from, like, coffers and stuff like that. I don't know of any other ways aside from that are great. But the main way I think you should look at this, if you've got a little bit of gold to spend, is through guild stores. Because if you go to Miscellaneous, to Trophy, and select Treasure Maps, they'll show up here. Now, which ones you want to go depends on the zones that you've got all the way shrines in. But if you don't know for sure, I'll give you 4 really, really good ones, or 5 as well. That's like not too bad. So these are all base game zones, easy to reach, easy to traverse through, because they have like a way shrine in the middle and they're super small. So Betnik, Stros Mackay, Bleakrock Isle as well, where the spiders are over there. That's a good one. Knathi's Roost and where's the other one? Balfoyan over here. All of these are amazing because even if you don't have anything unlocked, as soon as you get one way shrine, you've basically got access to the whole place within a minute, because it's very quick to get through. Now, once you've got your treasure map, there is an add-on you can get to show it on the map if you don't want to have to bother going through the like actually trying to find out where it is via the visual cues. So the add-on in question is called Lost Treasure. So you can use this for treasure maps, and it also works really well for surveys too. Even though surveys are usually easy to find because they just show you on like a map, some of the surveys are written and they're fucking annoying, so it's also good to have for those. Now, all you have to do is go find this treasure map chest and dig it up. You don't actually have to like loot the treasure map, the treasure chest, sorry. As long as you dig it up, that's all you have to do. But I still recommend looting it because, like, especially some zones like Western Skyrim, you can get venomous gear, which can be quite beneficial. Oh, there's spiders here too, so you can use them for the endeavor. Okay, here's the treasure map. Dirt mound. So you dig that up, and you'll immediately get the endeavor done. But we'll loot it anyway, because yeah, it could be some good stuff related to it. Conservatory Furnishings. If you own your house already, just to check if you have a conservatory furnishing, because you might actually have one in a house and you don't know about it. Basically, anything that kind of looks like I'm pretty sure it's like plants and stuff you'd find out in your like yard, or is that courtyard stuff? I guess they both count. But yeah, so housing editor, bottom right, you just hit that button. You'll go into this menu here, and then browse the bottom middle. That's what you're looking for. And you'll be able to find this section here. It says retrieve for Conservatory Furnishings. So yeah, you've got these rocks here, ferns, flowers, saplings. See what I mean? It's all the plant stuff. So yeah, there is a really easy one to get. I'll show you how to get that one in a minute. But yeah, I just want to show you this is where you find your stuff. Alright, let's go have a look. Okay, so you are headed to Daggerfall in Glenumbra. The reason for this is the two things that you want are here. You only need 100 gold to do this completely, just to pay for one conservatory finishing, and then you'll be able to do this endeavor for free, really quick, for the rest of the time. So firstly, you want to come to this person here, Philan Demery. This is how you get your free house. So talk to her, complete this quest just by talking to her further, and the house will show up here. There's 3 houses that you can get from this that show up in collected. Rosy Lion, Ebony Flask, and Mara's Kiss, depending on the alliance that you do this quest on. My advice is to do it on 3 different characters to get all 3, because they're all quite handy. Like this one, for example, can take you straight here if you need to get other furnishings. So Roslika here, this is where you get your conservatory finishing. So you get some boulders here that you can buy with gold. You get your fern plant here that you can also buy for gold. So any of this stuff is fine. When you get the small houses, or like the apartment rooms, just be aware some of the conservatory finishings are quite large. Like some of those boulders are huge. So just trying to get something smaller. Like that fern plant is like, it's about the size of this. It's not too big. So yeah, once you got your item, let me show you what to do. So you go to your the menu before where we looked at. You go to place instead. This is where you'll start, so you won't have to do anything. So you just left click and then you'll see place here. You just press E or whichever way, and you place it on the floor, and that will count. But if you just left click and try and place it again, nothing happens. It has to come from your inventory. So what you naturally do is put it back in, go to your inventory again, and place it, and that will work. To fast track it though, what you can do instead is once you place it on the ground for the first time, press the undo key, Z at the bottom left there, and now you press redo, just those keys. Back and forth, and that will also do the same thing. So either of those ways works. Now, if you get to your house and you want to get one of your furnishings that are already placed on the ground, let me show you what to do. So just go back to retrieve, you go click on it, and then go put away. You just press the R key, exit here, and then undo, redo, undo. And it's literally the same thing. So now, in the future, if you just want to do this again, just come to your house, go to one of these, pick it up, put it away, undo, redo, undo. And any of those strategies, that's fine. So you can see what I mean. This one's super duper quick to do, and you can do it from pretty much anywhere. Alright, so now let's go through the last option, which is deconstructing with woodworking. So we want to go to Imperial City for the best one. If you can't go to Imperial City, I'll go through some other options that you can do in Addon that are pretty good. So the reason we want to go to Imperial City is everything here is not stolen. So you can just take ship. You don't have to worry about stealth or anything. And there's more than 8 items usually at a time in all 3 of the starting areas. So it's just everything you need is right here, including the crafting station. So what you want to do is look around for the weapon rack here. Now, the layouts are a little bit different for each of the alliances, but the idea is exactly the same. So you want to go over here, find the bows here, grab these. There's usually a staff there. There's a staff over here. And then we want to go into the other rooms and have a look for the same thing. So over here, there's a shield. I think that's it in this room. If we go over to the weapon rack here, there's a shield and a bow. We'll grab those. Anything made of wood. So staves, bows, shields. They're the only 3. I don't think there's anything in this room. In some of the alliance... Oh yeah, there's a shield down here. Some of the alliances, there is stuff usually here. Is there anything here? Nope. Most of the stuff is also found in the room with this icon here. That's where all the NPC merchants are. There's usually heaps of stuff in there. In the crafting room, there's also, for Ordinary Dominion, I know there's a shield over here. Yeah. Just check that room too, maybe. Sometimes there's stuff. So in here, you've got the shield here, you've got a bow, you've got some shields on this bench over here, you've got a weapon rack with some staves, some weapon rack with some bows and shields over here. So yeah, Ordinary Dominion has a lot of stuff. As far as I'm aware, like, Pact is kind of the one that I struggle with the most, but yeah, there is enough stuff in all three. You just have to look around. So here's the woodworking station for the ordinary one. It's always in the room with this icon here, the crafting station. So come over here, just deconstruct all the items that you got, and that will count for the endeavor. Now, the good thing also is, usually, the items that you deconstruct here will give you some materials. I think only if you're... I don't know. I don't know how it works. I didn't get anything there. Usually I do, though. But yeah, just do that, and you will get some materials. If you do this on a low-level character, now it's kind of a pain for Imperial City, because level 15 is the cutoff for Maple, but level 10 is the minimum for getting to Imperial City. But if you can do that, you can get Maple, and you can use Maple to craft woodworking items for other endeavors for, like, the cheapest. And also you can just craft and deconstruct items for this too, so that also works well. But yeah, just do that, and then you want to look for the exit. So anytime you want to leave Imperial City, you just look for this long tunnel. It's exactly the same for each zone, or each alliance, and the exit will be here. The area you came in from, so in this case we were in Addon, you'll be taken straight back there. So if there's not enough items that you found to decon, just go back in, literally repeat the process, and yeah, it's very easy to do. Okay, Skywatch option is pretty good too, and you don't need to be able to access Imperial City for this, but you do need something to prevent yourself from getting spotted all the fucking time, because there's like, these items here are like constantly under watched by the two people here. What you do need is the Shadowy Disguise morph of Shadow Cloak, which comes from the Shadow skill line for Nightblades. Only this morph works, the normal version doesn't work, I don't know why. But yeah, if you use this, you can take all this stuff without actually getting a bounty. So that's another way to get this done quick. And there are so many wood items in just this stall here. And even if that's not enough, there's some shields over here as well that you can steal. So everything you need is right in that spot there. And then once you've got all that stuff, just come over here. Woodworking station's right here. And fun fact about items that you decon, if they're stolen, the materials you get from deconstructing them are not stolen anymore. It's kind of like real life when you steal a car and then deconstruct it for parts to sell that way. So it's harder to track. Right, last is the vocal guard option. This is if you don't have a cloak, you can use this option too. Because it's not difficult to steal this stuff without getting spotted, even if you don't have any stealth stuff at all. Alright, so first area you want to go to is Brightsteel Armory. In here. There's 6 bows in this room. So you've got 1 on this rack over here, 1 over here, 2 on this bench, and then 2 on the rack over here. The only issue is this guy will walk around and might spot you. So just be mindful of where he is and just steal stuff. If you see him stop his like animations, if he just kind of like A poses, sort of like that, you know he's about to move. So just, yeah, pro tip for you there. There's nothing over here, so don't bother over there. But yeah, the 6 bows here is what you want. After that, you want to head over here to the crystal vial. Upstairs, there's a weapon rack with 3 staves on it. So over here. There's not always going to be all these items. It's just the nature of containers in this game. Sometimes they spawn, sometimes they don't. Just, yeah, you should be able to get enough stuff for this, though. And if you don't, just leave the zone and come back and everything will reset. So yeah, that's the second room. Now, there might be a shield or 2 in the Aegis Oriel, but I don't bother because it's... 1, there's fuck all stuff that's woodworking, and 2, it's like hard to get it without getting spotted. So instead, come to the Fighters Guild. There are 4 shields over here. So you just have to make sure you stealth behind this person here and grab the shield, because you can still stealth just fine here. Or you can come over to here, and there's a shield right here that you can actually steal. So fun fact, apparently Melenith is no snitch, or she doesn't even exist apparently. She's like a figment of your imagination, and you can steal the shield without her seeing it. And she doesn't care. It's weird. Yeah, whatever. She's on our side. I can't complain. So you find the woodworking station right next to the Fighters Guild. So you just come over here, and you do the same thing and deconstruct your item there. And yeah, those 3 options are really good. That's usually what I do for deconstructing. That's why I use it. It's so easy. Alright, so now let's go check the golden vendor. Okay, Taking a look at the Golden Vendor this week, because we had Vengeance last week and we missed out on one weekend, we're getting a double hit of monster sets, and a lot of jewelry too. So for the 4 monster sets, we've got Baron Zadris first, Zadris, I don't know how to say that. This one is pretty good. Basically, apply a bunch of status effects quickly, you get a bunch of ultimate. It's quite strong. No such thing as a time where getting ultimate is a bad thing. So yeah, really good. I'm kind of out of the loop as far as the meta goes, but I'm pretty sure it's not as good as just either running a one-piece monster set when you're running mythics these days, or things like Selene, Naranith, Vulcan, more of the Infernal, Zahn, anything like that. I'm pretty sure they perform better for you in the long run. But honestly, you can't go wrong with just getting ultimate anyway. So yeah, nothing wrong with this. Basically, it incentivizes you to run lots of charge for your weapon traits and any chances of getting extra status effect appliance. There are a lot of status effects, so the more damage types you can run as well, the better. Force Shock is a great sync target spammable to use. God, cat just knocked over the lamp. Nice. Because that runs, it does Shock, Frost, and Fire damage, so it does 3 at a time, so you can basically stack this up very quick using Force Pulse. But yeah, it just depends. Yeah, pretty good set, this one. These are all DLC dungeon monster sets. Lord Warden is the only one that's actually base game, because Imperial City is a free DLC, so you can get this yourself regardless of the DLCs, so just keep that in mind. uFuqinwitme Gatekeeper, this is a fucking weird set. So when you roll, you basically put a mine down where you end up after the roll. Does a bit of damage. The area is quite small. It also absorbs some damage away from you if you stand within the radius. Now, you have to consider in PvE, any time where you have to roll dodge is basically a time where you're not focusing on dealing damage in like majority of cases, because you're either slowed to shithouse that in a way that like either you don't have something to remove snares, or you just want to get out of like a big AoE circle, or you're under attack by like a tough enemy that the tank hasn't got, and they're going to heavy attack you and you need to roll dodge it. Those are the only two instances where I can think of where you're like doing this just to like going to use this set in PvE as like a damage healer, a tank, or a healer, really. So yeah, just, and in those cases, it's yeah. I mean, it's okay, but the damage really isn't going to be helping you much, because when you think about the cooldown, right, the 20-second long cooldown, it ends up being something like 250 damage a second as like a set. That is fucking abysmal for a monster set. And considering the limitations of the tiny area and the fact that it's wherever you end up, so you've got to be right on top of the boss. Sometimes it's not possible. And then when you look at PvP, standing still to try and get the husk to protect you for a second, in those situations, that is a death sentence, because PvP, you need to be moving all the time, basically. If you're not moving around more than like 5 minutes, basically, people just like catch up to you and gang up on you and you're dead in some cases. Also like line of sight, if you can't line of sight, sometimes it's awful. So in PvP, I also don't see very good usage of this. Also, again, 20-second cooldown, just like one roll dodge to get this every 20-second cooldown is like awful, considering that like you'll burst someone a bit and then you have to wait ages for it to actually be up again. Yeah, I don't see this being useful anywhere, basically. Outside of like very niche applications in which I guess you could surprise someone with it, because it does do a fair bit of damage straight away. But yeah, I just can't see many instances where you're going to make much use of this. Lord Warden, this is basically a tanking set. When you take damage, you get an orb around you. It gives you a bunch of resistances. This is an old set, one I actually used a lot. I used to tank vet dungeons and vet trials a long time ago, and actually use this a lot. It's good. The times to use this is basically anytime you're stacking on your group, it's the best time to use it. Especially like off tanks, they tend to do that more than the main tanks do. Because yeah, basically you're incentivizing stacking with your team and giving them more defense. That's the goal of this set. And in most cases, the main tank can't do that, but the off tank can. Not all the time, though. Yeah, just that's what you're thinking about, because the area is massive. Yeah, 8 meters. I know that, like, it's 5 meters compared to 8 meters. I know it sounds like it's not much, but the difference is pretty staggering. So yeah, this is good. And 50% chance when you take damage. As a tank, that basically means it's got full uptime. So yeah, and yeah, 10-second cooldown up for 10 seconds, so it's basically up all the time as long as you're taking damage. It's a really good defensive support set. Not used that much these days, just because there's so many other good offensive sets for tanks out there. But if you want to help your team through progression, especially in like some of the older trials, it can be really good. Because yeah, usually you're stacking your off tank on your team in some cases. And then Stone Husk. Very odd set. Basically, when you heavy attack, puts a tether, does a bit of damage, and the longer the tether lasts, at the end of the tether, you get a bunch of spell and weapon damage for a little time. There's not many instances where you're just going to be able to get this to work, and it's going to be very beneficial for you, because in PvE, you're incentivized, like, the meta is so against heavy attacks, unless you're running a heavy attack like Sorcerer, like 1-bar Sergeant build, and in those cases you're usually doing it from range anyway, so you're not going to make use of this. And then PvP, it's okay, but like, one, the physical damage that it deals every 1 second is abysmal. Like, that's not going to get anything done. And the weapon and spell damage, like, it's what's the stack? Yeah, 15 stacks, 28. So it's a lot of weapon and spell damage for 5 seconds, but it's only 5 seconds, so it's up half the time. And there's just sets where you can just get that amount of spell damage just almost all the time. It is a 2-piece though, so PvP is that, like, there aren't really going to be many instances where you can just heavy attack a player and they're going to let you do that. Because naturally, if you're heavy attacking them, there's a reason you're doing it. Either you're getting resources or you're trying to get a set off. There are other sets that apply based on heavy attacks, and the thing is, any instance where, like, because I'm pretty sure there's like other really good ones out there, aren't there? Isn't there like another monster set that does heavy attacks that's really good? Yeah, here you go. Anthelma's Construct. So this one just deals a bunch of physical damage and deals a bunch of extra damage, like, and that's up every 10 seconds as well. So yeah, there's other sets you can use, and that usually means that players are probably going to be used to, like, seeing people heavy attack and just going against that. So yeah, this set isn't very good in most cases, I think. Maybe for werewolves it'll be okay, because werewolves are more incentivized to heavy attack compared to other stuff. But yeah, I don't see many uses of this that are going to be like practical. Alright, now on to the jury. So all the jury in this list, as always, I don't think you should buy it, because there's a couple of issues with it. Firstly, with dungeon stuff, you have to run them anyway to get the weapons and the armor. So getting 3 pieces of jury in the long run, like, isn't really going to benefit you much when you're just going to do the dungeon anyway. So yeah, I just don't see a reason. Like, the only instance I can think of where you're going to make use of it is if you don't have the ability to upgrade jury through the jury crafting skill line. But if you're hell-bent on, like, getting the best out of your sets, you like, or just like playing this game, like running the meta, you kind of want to have jury anyway, because one, you need to be able to retrait jury, and yeah, two, it just like getting access to jury writs, getting access to doing like the writ vouchers, getting writ vouchers through the jury master writs. There's just like so much stuff with jury that you just want it anyway. So my advice is just go that route instead of buying them here for lots of gold. That's my 2 cents. And then for the overland sets, they're so cheap on guild stores when you can just buy like blue and purple stuff anyway, and the difference usually is not that great for these, especially since a lot of these tend to have major buffs, and the major buffs are not impacted by quality. So yeah, in most cases, yeah, you just buy the shit from guild stores, honestly. And other people will sometimes, like for example, this one here. Look at the TTC underneath the item set description. someone is selling one for 100 grand. So just buy them there and don't worry about the FOMO of like limited time stuff here. Like I just don't get it, because people will buy them, buy cheaper, like buy lower quality ones, upgrade them, and sell them on guild stores as well. So it's just, yeah, I just don't see a point buying them here when you can just get them lower quality, but like blue or purple, and it's basically the same effect. Like it's so the difference between purple jewelry and gold jewelry and blue jewelry is like not that great, because you can even get the enchants to be gold anyway on blue shit. Anyway, so yeah, spend enough time. So I wouldn't get anything here, but I'll just run through all these sets and like instances where you'd find use for them. Alright. So I'll just start talking about the jewelry now. So Azure Blight. This set for a long time has been really good. Basically, if you do lots of damage over time and are hitting lots of targets at once, this set absolutely wrecks. It's for like trash pools, like getting rid of lots of trash. And yeah, really good for Arachnids, especially because their beam just constantly applies it. Because I'm pretty sure that applies to damage over time, or did they recently change that? They might have. Yeah, whatever. Because you have so many damage over time effects on the ground. Usually, it's just really good for trash packs. All right. Full Belly Amulet. When you have a food buff active, increase your block effectiveness. Essentially, very simple, very easy to use. Tanks tend to use food, so this is generally good for them. But there's so many other sets that buff your group, you probably won't run this anyway. But if you just want easy day, like easy sustain control for your blocking, then just use this. It's similar to Footman's Fortune, which just increases the damage you can block by a lot more. But Full Belly comes from a DLC zone, so they're both purchasable from guild stores, and they're both pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't see this being used on anything like high end though, just because there's so many good support sets like Turning Tide, Crimson Oath, shit like that. Gloom Grace, very simple, easy to get heavy armor set, sort of like a good starting set for tanks, because when you take damage base, you heal consistently, and you get Major Evasion, which is a good buffing set for defense for tanks. Yeah, you want to get out of grow out of this eventually, but yeah, it's like a good just sort of like training wheel set for tanks, because it's easy to get as well. The not Battalion Defender, Crest of Cyrodiil is still better as like a training wheel set, but Crest of Cyrodiil is fucking ridiculously expensive. So if you just want a cheaper option, that's basically like a good alternative. So yeah, because Major Evasion, area of effect attacks, that's something you deal with as a tank quite a lot more than you think. So yeah, it's pretty good. Gourmand, basically the same thing as Full Belly, except it affects crit damage and crit healing, which is pretty damn good. Any situation where your build is running food, this is really good, and it's especially really good in like pugs, or just like random groups that you're joining in just like chill trials. Because in those cases, usually you don't get full crit damage from your team through optimization, so having more crit damage is really good. But obviously you need to have crit chance to go with it. But yeah, this and Order's Wrath, great. Simple, easy to use, and just awesome. Awesome setup. But yeah, obviously if you use drinks, it's not going to work too well. But in that case, maybe just run... If you can get food, run this. If you can get drinks, or if you need drinks, just run Mother Sorrow or some shit like that. Alright, Kinra's is next. So this is a pretty good damage dealer set. There are instances where it can be really good, but you need to understand the redundancy that Major Berserk can have sometimes. So TLDR, deal a bunch of damage, eventually you'll give your team Minor Berserk while you get Major Berserk for a bit. Now Minor Berserk is completely redundant in majority of cases, because healers can run Combat Prayer, and with Combat Prayer, you just constantly get, Combat Prayer, the right side morph, you just basically get Minor Berserk all the time. So in most cases, everybody's going to have access to that. And the Major Berserk, while sometimes it can be good, in most cases... So this is a list of all the buffs that give you Major Berserk, or the stats that give you Major Berserk, and the skills. Wrecking Blow gives it to you, so if you're going to run a two-hand build, you can use that. Also, Storm Atronach. usually in like optimized stuff, somebody's going to run a Storm Atronach and allow you to get the synergy that gives it to your team, or like gives it to you, because everybody can use the synergy at once. So naturally, in some or most cases, you're going to get Mage Berserk as well anyway, so you don't really need this stat. But anytime where you know that's not going to happen, it's good. It's really good. Also, Heem Just. Heem Just is another set that gives you Mage Berserk, but whenever an enemy dies within 28 meters of you, you get Mage Berserk. So in a lot of cases, Heem Just is also going to be really good, and it's going to fucking knock this thing out of the water easily. But yeah, just consider the times where you're not going to be able to get that sort of stuff, and maybe Kinraz might be good. Thogben, similar to Heem Just, but it doesn't give your team a buff. You just get minor force. Just consider the times where this buff is going to be redundant, and times where you're going to struggle to get the buff naturally. So this one's completely different, and I'd argue this one's worse. Because, firstly, Trap. This gives you minor force, and it gives it to you all the time. Really, really, like, any time where you can get a buff from a skill, it's going to be better. Because you got 10 skills, you've only got 3 or 2 sets, basically. So, yeah, 4 or 3, I'd say. So, yeah, it's more beneficial to you to get it from a skill. There's also Sigic Order. The Accelerate skill also gives you the same thing. Gives you major speed, gives you snare remover, other stuff, gives you like extra stuff through the passives. So yeah, there are other options where you can easily get minor force. You can get it from like, can't you get it from Banner now as well? Or am I seeing shit? Nah, you can't. Okay, that's fine. Contingency, so stuff like that. So yeah, there are other ways to get this set, this buff. Yeah, just consider that. But like, basically, if you can't, if you don't want to use the Sigic Order Accelerate skill for whatever reason, sort of you're on your own, maybe that could also work, and like you can't hit the boss, like you have to do range attacks, which is something that does come from time to time, not very often. In that case, maybe Sogden might be good, because it does increase your crit chance too. So yeah, just consider that. Ysgramor, frost damage isn't really the damage type that you go to deal damage with, like, or damage is the main thing. It's usually the support damage type, so Ysgramor usually doesn't get much use. It's also a base game overland set. It's really easy to get naturally. So yeah, you will not see much use of this. But basically, if you're just using entirely ice damage, and you want someone to die very quick just to all that ice damage, maybe this. But yeah, I just can't see an instance where just relying on one damage type is going to be really good for damage dealing. Because naturally, because status effects are so strong, you want to sort of branch out your damage types so you can get as many status effects as possible. And yeah, this is just not going to be as valuable because of that. And then tanks and healers, you're not really worrying about your damage anyway much. Zen, another really good set that tends to see a lot of use in PvE mostly, where it just like supports your team, because Zen basically increases the damage your team deals by 5% if you can get it, if you can keep it up constantly. So basically just run like a build that has a lot of damage over time effects, and it's good. I don't know how useful it'll be in PvP though, because damage over time effects aren't all that important. And because enemies tend to roll dodge more, light attacks don't have as much of an impact either. So yeah, it just depends. But in most cases, you're not going to make much use out of this, just because, yeah, you're not going to be just trying to apply 16 damage over time effects on people. You're going to be trying to burst them down with direct stuff. But I don't know, there might be specific PvP builds, like maybe things like running dragons. What's it called? The crafted Dragon's Appetite, this one. Because that's got some damage over time stuff. Alright, I think that'll do for the golden sets. There was a lot there, but yeah, I wouldn't say much of it's worth looking at. Maybe Baron Zadrosh though. Stats effects are really good. Alright, I'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy your weekend. Any questions, give me a holler as always. yeah, see you next time. Take care for now.